By playing G4.
No,
Not Wei Yi.
No, no.
Well, then I'm gonna have to play something like H6.
H6?
G5 or Rook G1? Or H4?
No, Rook G1, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, I'll play Bishop B7.
Okay, then I will go H4.
And...
Ooh! Yeah, that's maybe...
Knight to D7 or Knight to D4. Nice one.
Well...
Oof.
I was trying to evaluate this.
This looks dangerous for... I'm not sure this is more dangerous for black or for white.
Yeah. Okay, let me just double check. G4, we're not taking. We're going to play H6. And let's look at your G5 move. The reason I didn't like G5 is because I think I can take.
I have a
and
question.
If you take with the knight, I have knight E5, bishop B7.
Oh. I have one question. Do you think it's possible that Wesley really thought about B5 and it's like, how can I provoke G4? Because if Wei doesn't play G4, you know that the position is not going to be all that exciting. Is Wesley actively trying to provoke a G4 here? Because that would be impressive to me. Because I almost have no explanation. He's like, he's making the right moves to get G4 to be played.
And he knows...
Not developing the bishop to B7.
Wei Yi's looking for a move to justify this setup. Ah, Wesley's coming off a win. He's feeling good. And he's trying to lure Wei Yi into a dark room. Yes.
A dark room it is. I think
can visualize
I can see it too.
Yes. A3, B6. Instead of doing the maybe standard development of bishop on B7 and knight B to D7, he's going for this G4.
Welcoming it.
Okay, so that means I'm expecting H6 because that would be like, okay, you get G4, I play H6, and we have a sharp king. So now let's continue. Rook G1.
Again, bishop to B7, I'm guessing.
Bishop B7. H4 again. G5, you want to be able to take back with the knight. You have knight takes F7, queen G6 ideas. The problem here is this knight E5 move. So it means...
Is that a problem if I go bishop to E2?
It's...
I want to play F4 maybe?
H2's hanging, and I can probably even sack for this bishop, right?
Oh, you have this bishop D3 check.
So...
Yeah. Or knight to D3 check. Bishop B7 we said. H4. No, actually G5, sorry. G5 takes. Knight to E5, bishop to E2.
I was just gonna take
it off?
Yeah.
F4.
Yeah.
Rook takes E2.
I mean, this Rook takes E2 looks good already.
I like Rook takes E2
because even here it's a bishop and a pawn. Looks very double-edged. I could even like, but this is the best bishop, best piece. Maybe I can.
And now you just try to queen D7, Rook D8, or castles if you get the chance.
That looks good.
Provocative play.
It's funny, there's actually maybe this move. If rook takes E2. Oh, sorry. Wait. I was trying to play this move.
Bishop
something crazy.
Takes.
Yeah, I was trying to do this move, and things just go crazy.
Knight D3 check.
Yes, yeah, that was the idea. Knight D3 check. King here is forced.
Bishop takes G5. F takes G5. Oh, queen takes G5 is threatening checkmate, but D3 is hanging. Yeah, this is not what white players generally have in mind when they say G4.
No, there's at least a draw there. Probably more. So, confident Wesley maybe? It's 2018 and he had a bad second half. Now he's trying to lure Wei Yi into complications. That would be interesting, because usually Wesley's okay, very pragmatic player, right?
Yeah.
Okay with a solid, symmetrical position.
I feel with Wesley, it really depends on his mood, the way he plays. I don't see him playing like this if he's not particularly confident. Again, trying to provoke G4 is really asking something from the position and from himself. But he must be confident that this is just not that great and going to give him chances other than positions where things may have been a little bit more dull.
All right, let's go to Big Vlad.
Big Vlad.
We're
Big
both
Vlad.
brainstorming and trying to figure out how can Gawain
A3. We had
come
this on the board.
close to equalizing or get into an end game where you can salvage something. We got knight d4, so knight b4, knight d4, and this was all expected. Rook d8. Black's trying to kick this knight out, so c2's available. White trying to get rid of the knight on b4 because that's the only threatening piece. a3. You can't move anywhere, you just have to go for the complications. Of course here, knight takes b5, for example.
Yeah, no good.
So, rook takes d4.
A takes b4,
takes b4,
and b takes c4.
B takes c4. And this is, oh, knight takes c4.
This looks like a lovely position for white,
Yeah.
once again.
Without calculating, I think we both favor white, just the lead in development, just the space advantage.
We
This
have a
fantastic
G4.
bishop, this nice pawn on e5, which blocks this and gains space. The a file, this bishop has loads of options. Comfortable, straightforward.
I do have a bit of a struggle here with my queen. If I go queen to c2, then you go bishop f5, and I need to figure out how to get out of this attack. Is queen to f1 maybe is
Bishop f5.
again
Well,
bothering me a little bit.
Bothering you a little bit, tickling. But okay, Kramnik's the type, he will play f3 if it's very concrete.
f3 bishop to e6 would
Right,
be the,
and that's what I want to explore. But, for example, no. Any f3, you really are making this bishop on g2, which was
I don't like
a
that.
star. No,
Is
you're-
queen to f1 that big of a deal? Queen to f1,
No.
bishop f5 you said, rook to d1 can I play maybe? Am I not left with a good position here, rook to d1?
Yes.
This seems like a
No, that
big flaw type of solution as well to me.
this works. It makes sense that Black shouldn't be able to solve his opening issues with just this rook and bishop harassing Kramnik's queen.
Yeah.
It's
One of the
not enough.
reasons that this position is so unpleasant in the long run is also this pawn on e5 is just taking all the life out of this bishop on g7. If you manage to maintain that, you're basically playing up a minor piece. It's no fun for black.
Yeah. And for example, bishop f5,
Rook to
rook
d1.
here, and let's say we, trade everything, and you're like, oh, well, don't I win this pawn? Well, that's your, your fianchetto bishop. It holds your position together.
Yeah.
You're probably going to get hit with a very, very unpleasant tactic at the end of this line. Either bishop
Check on d8 looks tempting. Pinning
check
the
on
knight.
d8, the knight's pinned, king here.
Bishop e3 maybe.
Yeah,
There is no way that this is gonna be.
this is hanging.
This is gonna end well for black.
So, I agree.
Not
Queen
at the
F1.
board yet. Big flat is taking a break maybe, but I think queen f1 is a very, nice solution to this one.
Kramnik is doing really well here. If he's not at the board, he's going for
A smoke?
a smoke break. Yeah,
Yeah.
I read that on Twitter. It was maybe Hilversum or something. He had to walk pretty far and take smoke breaks, and it's like 5 minutes off the clock.
Hacking darts and breaking hearts. That's what they say out in Canada, right?
Breaking hearts.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you break someone's heart if you beat them. I'm not sure. Hacking darts and breaking hearts. Yeah, big flat here. I think poised for a win today if things
It would be
don't go drastically different from what we expect.
a typical Kramnik win if he continues this. Powerful opening, good opening, then middle game. Recently, Kramnik's just been playing very energetically and you could say aggressively, and this is definitely, he is trying to refute Gawin's opening play, which was a little slowed. I mean, e5, I mean, you have other moves that actually do give you a comfortable King's Indian with c4, as you mentioned, but e5 is going for it. It's definitely this...
opportunistic.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
I also liked, again, in that game with Magnus, it was sort of really moving towards a draw, and then suddenly everyone realized, like, hold on, this is not a draw. Vlad is actually playing for a win. And after the game, really, he was furious. He was like, I must have missed a win somewhere. So he's ambitious. He's here to win the tournament. All right, let's have a brief look at Hui Fan again, just to see if Karyakin reached a comfortable position. And again, it was heading towards an ending of some sort.
Well, we were favoring black, though, out of personal preference. And the question, which position can we get as black here? I think black is completely okay, but where can we actually try to push? Or is this just... Look, like, I believe where the advantage or the potential for more... I think that all comes from if we can maybe keep this knight or find a good outpost for that and hop around. Because in some endgames, this bishop may not be so good. You know, all of black's pawns will be able to dodge it, and f6 will be ganged on. So how does black get the rooks off the board? Because if you get the rooks off the board, you can isolate the f6
Well, first
pawn.
is white's move, and it's not that easy because there's no real threat of rook takes g2, but what move do you make? And as you pointed out, this bishop is just a long-term headache. It's not going to do much if you're not careful. Bishop to e3, is that an idea?
I was trying to lure you into a trap, but it doesn't actually work, which is something I deal with quite regularly, that you want to win a pawn, and I play bishop c7, I'm like, okay, I'm checkmating Robin. And I was like, oh, knight d4, okay, I can continue, I can play c3, and I'm getting rook d8, but you have rook g1.
That's right.
Otherwise, it works. Yeah.
Otherwise,
so
that's a sudden mate.
It's a mate. I'm looking for mates. Always looking for mates. But rook g1 seems like the move that stops it.
So black.
But that's one of the few options where I'm trying to like make f6 actually useful. To me, f6 looks like a weakness.
It does. So black actually, okay, of course he has a threat of knight to e2 check, but not only because you're winning the bishop, also a pawn is at stake. Do I have to maybe play king? I don't like king to b1, but let's
king
have
to
a look.
b1 is not, yeah, in the end games your king wants to be closer. Okay, king b1. I'm thinking about playing b6 in the long run, maybe play c5, but what if I play knight f5? Is that where it came from? I want to just trade rooks.
It took a pawn on d4 though.
Oh, okay, then it's a good knight. It's,
Eric,
Royal Canadian Mountain knight.
I really don't like this position for white, so
it's a little depressing.
Why do I have to play the white side? I really don't like it. No, actually, I would love to throw in a g4 or something, but you know what, Eric? I know it's not very gentlemanly of me, but I'm not gonna play Hui Ivan's position here.
She's actually a new recruit. She's our board one this year.
That's why I have full faith in
her
playing this better than I can. But yes, for those who don't know, Hui Ivan actually one of the leaders of the Chessbrad Pro Chess League team.
She'll have to make her debut, but yeah. But you know what? You're right. I'll play white. You don't want to play her position, so I'm gonna play rook here. You're going to take a pawn because you're very, after you studied finance, very capitalistic. I'm going to play check on h8.
Well,
King goes to d7. I find another annoying check on d1.
You run can over to appreciate checkmate.
And there you go.
That's a little short-term oriented.
That's some role-playing. I took white and took that to a victory.
Yeah, you took that right to a victory. You're absolutely right.
So this g2 pawn, if there's two rooks on the board, is poisoned. That's the lesson.
Okay, I'm gonna move my rook out to somewhere. d4 looks active, and I would love to double up on a g file and get your g pawn.
Well, okay, I only envision black pushing in a lot of these positions with a knight against bishop. So, for example, let's say g3. Is this really enough to push? Okay, I wouldn't take on g3, but just to demonstrate, knight takes g3. We trade everything off.
You win the f pawn.
I win the f pawn. And then it's just going to be a
Probably
draw.
drawish.
Yeah. So this is annoying. Maybe I just play like this, and I'm just like, okay, can you really ever? Yeah.
The problem is I can't really go king to d7 ever because rook h7 is just very annoying.
Yeah.
So how does black improve his position from here?
Well, I think they might be headed towards
A draw?
a draw. I'm not sure they want to play this out. Depends how ambitious Karyakin is. He was ambitious with the opening, but he needs to realistically see
a wave.
push here. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. This is.
So.
I mean, and of course, I mean, Hu Yifan's not going to go into a worse position voluntarily. So, white must be, you know, sort of okay here. But you got to be a little bit careful. One more time. Let's try. You started with rook. Which move did you start with? King to b1, we said.
Yes.
And
That's the last move you played before giving up. As white. King b1.
knight to f5. Rook e1.
Yes. Rook d to e1, which is not a move I like to play, and I think black is on the comfortable side. But if you keep two rooks on the board, this bishop.
I have a suggestion. King to f8. My idea: rook takes g2, as you said. Finance, greedy. But you know what? If it's up to you, apparently I have a family to provide for soon, so I could use a pawn. Bring a pawn home.
That's true. I'm going to try to play g4 now.
Ah, rook d4.
Yeah, I was trying to figure this out.
I'm going to go rook g4 next.
Yeah. Well, if we keep the knight... Okay, I guess we can go back to this.
Yeah, this is always very solid. Yeah, and again, I probably won't win your pawn.
Because now I might be revisiting how I want to mate you on d8.
Yeah, king f8 doesn't do that much for me. You can just go back to your g3. Okay. Well, then I'm going to declare this as equal. You're right. It's not that terrible for white actually. Whenever black tries to do something, it seems to work against him. All right. I'm going to say, Eric, let's take a brief coffee break. Although we've been drinking coffee all along.
That's good for me.
Yeah, and we will be back in 10-15 minutes with more Tata Steel chess.
The year is 1938. The steel company, then named Hoogovens, embarks on one of the longest sports sponsorships of all time. In a time where the world is changing rapidly, tradition is being built in Wijk aan Zee.
Voor de industriewereld zijn de hoogovens een begrip geworden. Maar ze zijn dat ook voor de schaakwereld.
A steel company chess tournament, evolving into an internationally renowned and celebrated Wimbledon of chess. Since 1938, the players have changed and evolved. But one thing remains the same. This is a tournament where dreams are realized, where youngsters have become grandmasters, and grandmasters have become winners. The longest tournament of its kind, where amateurs and grandmasters come together for the most challenging game of minds. Normal people have to see Naples before they die, but a chess grandmaster has to win Wijk aan Zee first. The TATA Steel Chess Tournament. 80 years of chess tradition. See it live from January 12 to 28, 2018. In Wijk aan Zee or on tatasteelchess.com.
Anirgiri, one of the TATA Steel Chess Tournament Masters. Do you want to win this chessboard, signed by all the masters who are playing in Vakanzee, Hilversum and Groningen? Follow us on social media to see how you can win.
I actually was absent for quite a few years, and somehow I started to feel that I'm really missing it. I'm very happy to be here back again, and will try to do my best. Actually, from the age of 7, I can tell I was completely sure I'm going to be a professional chess player. Of course, in a childish way, but still, you know, children, they are dreaming about being cosmonauts, whatever. But for me, you know, it was always clear, just chess player, nothing else. To be really successful in something, you really have to enjoy it, to like it. You know, it has to be quite an important part of your life.
I'm very glad to be back here and, you know, got some nice people. This is the oldest chess tournament ever, you know, and we have a great organizer in Jeroen Vandenberg, so those are some of the reasons why we come back. Chess is very popular in the Philippines, so in every corner, you know, your neighbors will play chess and they're ready to play against you. And then I got introduced to chess books, and so that's how I started. Well, first of all, they gotta enjoy the game, right? As a starting player, that's one of the reasons why we pick up any sport. And also, if you want to improve, you gotta work with stronger players and you gotta play stronger players.
Welcome back everyone to Tata Steel Chess Round 6. I'm here with Eric and today we have Magnus's game as probably the highlight of the day. So let's get right there.
The last time we were looking at this, I think bishop b2 had just been played, or we were looking at, you know, black playing h4. Rook h5,
Yeah,
white playing knight c3.
Magnus took a different approach here. Rook to d8 and d5 straight away.
Immediately.
And it begs the question, why did he even need h5 then? If this was his plan. Did it have something to do with b3? I'm not entirely sure. But the position we have on the board is quite exciting. Peter castled queenside here, asking for knight g4, I would say. And is now in thought. Knight to g4 was played. I only see one move here for, well, not entirely one move. Knight to c3 or knight to f4. Knight to f4 being the more logical one.
Yeah, knight c3. The variation here, bishop takes.
I need to go d takes.
D takes.
I need to go king takes.
And I almost want to do this, but maybe bishop e2. I can still add some more pressure on here.
Yeah, you can force king to e1.
Yes.
Queen f6, king to e1, the only way to defend f2.
At the same time, maybe these moves are coming in.
This might actually be quite okay for white. So that's what Peter is thinking about. The other idea, knight to f4, attacking the rook on d5, and then maybe d3.
Right. Knight here, and then looking at even...
Then even f3 maybe is there, yeah. Although, yeah, f3.
Well, f3, knight f2.
Yeah, I was gonna go d3, not f.
Yeah. D3 is the...
Who's protecting the pawn from c2.
Yeah.
Black needs a very good move here, otherwise the position is opening up, and that
I mean,
would be white's dream, I would say.
What happens in this sort of position?
Good question.
Making use of that knight on g4 still, and the dark squares. I want to keep this bishop in a box.
Am I forced to take?
I think it makes a lot of sense to take. It's a little concerning to allow black to continue.
This actually does look suddenly very bad for white with knight to d4 as an idea. F takes e3, knight takes e3.
Yeah, I was looking at this and even
Yeah.
yeah
That's what I was
exactly
thinking.
yeah. and just I don't need to win the rook.
Rook h6, rook c6. Now we see
is
the
hanging-
point of that move. Not a good side if this were to happen.
This is
for Peter.
bad.
Okay, so
So
nice
that's-
resource there.
Yeah, so maybe
Knight
knight
f4,
c3. So knight
rook
f4,
f5.
rook f5, d3. There's this e3 move that looks hard to deal with, really.
And maybe this is what
It's a
Peter-
positional approach.
This is what's bothering Peter in this position. So knight to c3 looked better than this one.
Is there something we're missing with knight c3?
Can you pull your rook back, or is that... No, you probably can't. Knight takes e4
And h3.
and h3 if you attack my knight in any sort of way, or f3. So rook to e5, now again d3,
d3.
and this time it
Now
looks
d3 is better.
like a much better version. So bishop takes c3, d takes,
And this is where maybe we could have improved.
Queen to h4 is an alternative, trying to provoke the move g3.
Yep. Yep, this makes sense. This makes some sense. I like queen h4.
So the idea g3, queen to f6,
Right.
and then my queen can maybe go to f3.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of weaknesses here. It also stops king e1 because of knight takes e3. Can't go king e2. So g3, queen f6. Not good.
This doesn't look good for white.
So queen h4, yeah, that's annoying. I was thinking like, let's say king c1.
Queen takes f2.
Yeah, queen takes f2.
Looks like black is
That forces
doing well.
forces the issue. No, this is
Wow,
looking.
so is Peter in some trouble here because we don't see the solution to this problem yet?
We'll see which one he picks. Liking black here.
I like black
Liking
too.
Magnus in this fight.
Yeah.
But we probably have to work a little harder. Maybe Peter does have something. Kramnik against Jones, a game we've been watching quite a bit. We stopped here thinking, oh, queen f1,
Nice.
comfortable edge.
And after bishop to f5, rook to d1
He
was
did
sort
bishop, yeah, we talked about rook d1 and we just like that position, but he went for...
He likes his position so much that it's worth sacking a queen to get just fully coordinated here. Bishop takes f1. I must say, visually it does appeal to me, but I'm always a little reluctant giving up a queen. c5, some dynamic play there by Gawain.
Yes, also justifies maybe Kramnik's sacrifice a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're winning a nice pawn now, so rook, piece, and pawn. Let's say bishop takes e5.
Knight d7?
Yes.
Or knight a6?
No, knight a6 I think I
you
can
can take on a5, my bad, yeah.
Knight d7.
Pull back to d4.
Just pull back.
Wow, I love this position for white.
Kramnik
With the b pawn
is-
now going to b6.
yeah.
a4, b5 looks for
He
example.
didn't need to sacrifice that queen. He knows
No,
that
but he
too. He's
likes-
going for the points.
Yeah, he just likes... I feel Kramnik definitely has sometimes a bit of a weakness for making aesthetic moves, for making for some beauty
Yeah.
in his games. But this is a nice sacrifice. I think it might be a correct one too. White definitely seems to retain his edge.
Oh, I think Kramnik. We're expecting bishop takes c5, and after knight d7, probably just the calm move bishop d4, and you have a pawn, bishop and rook for the queen, but you're likely to pick up a second pawn on a5 or get a or just push the
And
b
let's
pawn.
once again not forget about this horrible bishop on g7. Just yes, it puts pressure on e5, but in the long term, this is not a useful piece, especially now as the attention has shifted towards white's passed pawns on the queen side. You want to have as many pieces being able to help you out to retain white's pawn majority on the queen side. And this bishop is just not doing the right things at this point in the game. It's going to be hard to get it back. Bishop to f8 and e6 is not a great solution to that either.
So Kramnik's still in control. Any progress in Yifan against Karyakin?
Karyakin seems to have done something at least slightly ambitious, putting his pawns on the dark squares. Something that you suggested, but that we didn't really continue with some of our lines. And Yifan played b4 here. I guess the idea must be b5. And bishop to e7. Ideas could lead to checkmate if you're not careful.
The same time with this b4 idea, in some variations, d5 will be a square available to black, and there won't be a c-pawn.
I like white's position more than I did before now, because there's some mating ideas.
And the knight's also controlled a bit.
We see Sergei taking on b4.
Okay.
We're going to be taking that back with white. And I'm wondering what his idea is next in this position. Rook to c8, I'll answer by king to b2, and I don't exactly see what that would bring to this position for black. And Sergei plays a5. Maybe heading to that square that you were talking about before, d5. So if a5,
Let's show that
b5, let's say, knight to b4, I'm feeling like I'm almost forced to take on b4, because if I do reach that d5 square again, f6, you pointed out earlier, is a weak point. This is unpleasant. So bishop takes b4 seems virtually forced. A takes b4. And you know what they say, all rook endgames are drawn. And this one does feel like...
both sides have so many weak pawns.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of pawns are going to come off.
Yeah. I agree. Which leads me to
switch games
to this game between Wei Yi and Wesley So. G4, G5. Oh, wait. B5 was played.
Finally.
That's interesting though, but I don't want to play b5 because now I lose the tempo.
Yeah, we had 95 ideas all the time.
Yeah. So there's a drawback to that line as well, but...
And rook h6. I like that defense. Knight takes f7, of course, was the idea for white, and just covering the g6 square and saying, well, there's no bishop on c1 that ever bothers my rook on h6, so why not? Positionally, of course, black is better in any sort of endgames because of this weak h-pawn. So I'm expecting some sort of knight to e4 here. Knight c to e4 has actually been played just now by Wei Yi, opening up the scope of the b2 bishop.
Knight c to e4.
Let's make that move. Also attacking c5, of course. What do we do about c5? Rook to c8, knight takes c5 still looks like it's possible.
Yeah, we have enough pawns on the, b3 and d2 can both come support it.
b7 also hanging. See Aaron Lamy observing there in the back. One thing I like in this position, if I ever can reach it, is for some reason g takes f6 seems nice, but I do want my king in safety then on let's say the queen side, because it takes away quite a few squares. But okay, let's say knight takes e4, knight takes e4. I simply have a problem here, don't I? G7 and C5
are
hanging.
both hanging.
And H2 does not weigh up to these pawns. So what is Wesley thinking about here? What's he planning to play? Hand hovering over E4, I think.
Okay, technically you can play knight A5.
Asking for B4 to me, it seems to me. If I take on C5...
I can't take everything on B4?
Yeah, and then I want to
Maybe
take on
rook
F6 and try to open up the G file. But if I take on C5, you just take and play knight takes B3, and you're fine.
I've always been wanting to open up this bishop. That's one thing that's been bothering me.
Okay, but for example, B4, imagine you take it twice.
Let's say I just put my knight back.
Okay, I'll take on F6, GF, or bishop takes.
That's a good question. GF, knight E4, rook H8.
We see knight takes E4 on the board, by the way.
Knight
This
takes
looks
E4 on the board.
completely unclear what we just had there. Knight takes E4.
I thought this was good for white. I thought this was good for white.
Yeah, that's what we thought. Knight takes F7, by the way. Probably not a very good move, but it's there. Instead of knight takes E4.
Knight takes E4, knight takes F7. The idea being if king takes F7, rook G7 check.
And then I will probably recapture on E4. Kind of a Wei Yi type of move to me. Something very sharp, but probably unnecessary. He does think for a second, so he sees this possibility. Although we still don't know what to do after knight takes either.
Yeah, unless knight takes F7, you're really seeing something concrete. Knight takes E4. I'm trying to figure out what Wesley's plan is.
It's one thing to provoke Wei Yi to play G4 and start playing so actively sharp, but then you really do need a good rebuttal to that G4 move, and this does not look that convincing to me yet.
Well, I'm a little confused. Where's Black's compensation? Why is he not just...
Well, where's Black's play, right? He's not even developed. White can castle anytime and finish up most of his development. And as Wei Yi is considering knight takes E4, knight takes F7, let's take a look at one of the tweets we just got in. Knight takes E4 has been played. Wow, F6. This one is not winning the beauty prize, Eric. F6?
Is this right?
What on earth has just been played, Eric? There's a G6.
G6.
G6, sorry. Yeah. Okay, G6. Well, only one real question here for Black, which is what happens after knight takes C5.
I was expecting take what, rook takes H2.
Yeah, rook takes H2 can be played.
I'm always looking for cheapos like this.
Knight to d3.
Oh, which doesn't work, of course.
Ah,
The rook's hanging.
so bishop to f3 in that case looks logical. Rook c8.
Rook c8. A little solid for black.
Yeah, maybe not the greatest this
Just
one.
gonna get the queen here and move the knight out of the way.
Queen h4 also an idea. I'm a bit surprised because initially this felt bad to me, but alright. We have a tweet by GZF. I'm a big not sure how I pronounce. I'm a big fan of this one. He actually depicted me in a Superman suit, so
I saw that.
a big shout out to Mr. J and Mr. G, Zaf. And here we have a heart with all the relevant names of the players, Vaikanzes there. I like this one. Chess, Matlakov. We see all of them somewhere in here. This is a cool one. And of course also on the outside. Thanks, Jay. Going back to Magnus's game.
Things have blown up here. Knight g4,
Ooh.
knight g3, knight takes f2, bishop
Not
c4.
a move we considered, by the way.
Not at all.
And suddenly f7 has become a very important point in this game. f7 and g7. Wow.
f7 and g7.
This has just exploded.
I feel like I'm playing Splitter's position right now because the jet lag, you know, it's hit the position and the jet lag are hitting me at the same time. And I mean, but I like what he's doing, but we have to calculate. That's something I'm trying to avoid. Peter didn't go for
Calculation
something
is
calm.
something that we try to talk our way out of. So it's going to be very hard.
Instead of
here.
resisting, he allowed knight takes f2, and he's saying, I just have all
this play.
all this play on f7.
Yeah,
on
again,
g7.
rook f1, rook takes f7, one of the clear threats, but also bishop takes g7 and knight f5 are there if you don't cover the squares on the 5th rank.
Well, even, you know, right now, white's down a pawn. There are a lot of positions where white can pick the pawn back up on e4 and just be better. So that's not the greatest concern in terms of just like losing that pawn. It's really...
Okay, well, let me ask the question. Knight takes h. Welcome back, everyone. Sorry for that momentary lapse, but we are back in full force and we're still looking at this position where we said after bishop to c4, black could play knight takes h1, leads to a few exchanges, bishop takes d5, knight takes g3 takes, and now rook to f1 is on the cards, and as well bishop takes e4 or queen takes. This actually does look very good for white. First impression.
Well, compared to some other lines we looked at before, this rook on h8 is not playing a big role. This bishop on, which was formerly on f1, all of a sudden really centralized. Bishop on b2 could diagonal. The rook has a natural spot.
Okay, let me try something in this position actually.
Current position, that's what we looked at, but...
If I go back to that one for a second, Eric, knight takes h1, takes.
Yeah.
And I'll play h4.
Yeah. I'll play rook here.
And here, I just realized this is probably a very bad idea, but h takes g3 was my idea, hoping you'll play rook takes, so you're going to play bishop takes. And this is bad news for my line. This looks very bad. Yeah. Obviously I was banking on rook h1 check somewhere, but as the rook takes on f7 with check now, this is no longer any good for black. This one of course does work. Bishop takes f7 takes that idea out.
Feels like Magnus should have something better than this.
I'm
but
not sure.
If not, then it sort of questions his entire approach there. Peter can just give up the f pawn. Then attack. Rook f1's coming.
I don't see a better move than knight takes h1. I really don't, because
there's knight d3 check.
King to b1. And if you take on, you can take on b2 there maybe.
Well,
but are you happy with the opposite color bishops in that case?
Well, how do you take back? I thought you were gonna take here.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah. Bishop takes d5.
Well, then no, I'm not happy.
You don't like it as much for white?
No, it's black.
It's black, yeah. Okay, let's go one more time to this one. If I go knight takes h1, takes, rook f1, and now I want to try f6. You're gonna go g4 probably, right?
Sure. Let's do
g4. No, actually, it's just horrible. It's just horrible. g5 is coming. My rook is still out of the game. I'm trying to push h3 to get some development, but you're just taking and playing g5, and it looks like a phenomenal position for white. No good. Magnus, is he in trouble?
I feel like no, but I'm not finding the right moves. He does have a lot more time than Peter.
Knight to d3 check, we tried. Knight takes h1. Rook moves are out of the question, it seems. For example, rook to g5, rook to f1, I guess. Takes. Just looks like bad news again for black. He's going to be losing this e4
Yeah, what happens here? Knight takes b2.
And knight takes e4, is that an intermezzo?
They're all over the place.
These are lines that the players have to be calculating.
No, just...
Yeah, and again, c5 is going to hang with check too. The knight's still trapped. Nice move, bishop to d5. Again.
Bishop c4. We need to move.
I like Peter's chances here. The fact that Magnus is thinking about this right now, and of course, as I say this, he takes on d1, worries me, I was going to say. Bishop takes d5, we thought, is the point here. Let's see if Peter already has his reply ready. Oh, rook takes d1.
Rook takes...
Wow. Continuing the sacrifice.
This is one of Peter's exchange sacrifices.
Yeah.
He's a Grunfeld player.
One of Peter's specials.
Yes. Oh, and he gets off the board.
Actually, Peter's down a pawn and an exchange, right?
Yes. Although e4.
E4 is hanging. Rook to e5 would be is an option here, I suppose, to return the sacrifice, at least partially. If you go back to d8, then you're in all sorts of trouble because of bishop takes g7 check. So the rook has to stay on the 5th rank here. That leaves Magnus with not too many choices. Let's try rook to e5 here. Rook would like to be taken, after which you can go queen takes. Seems to me like you have to take.
So
Rook to f1, f6, yeah?
now I take.
Yeah, queen takes,
Yeah.
and king b1, right?
Let's try to provoke some moves like f6 first. Yeah.
If I go king to e7, rook to f5.
Yes. This looks good for white.
It does look
the
better
knight on
for white.
c6 isn't so good.
Yeah. I do expect rook to e5 though. I really don't see because rook to g5, just knight takes e4, immediately attacking their rook seems. Well, let's give it a try, and then I'm gonna take on g2.
Rook takes g5.
No, rook g5, knight takes rook takes g2. Am I getting mated? Rook to f1. Rook to f1, let's say f6, I'm gonna assume you take and you win, so knight to d8.
Oh, 19.
And maybe this is just one of those cases where it's long-term compensation. Queen d3, queen d5. And we have a result in one of the games that we looked at, which is Olga Giria against Jordan van Vereest, which has ended in a draw. Just click on the refresh and then we get the latest moves. This somehow went into a drawn rook ending. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll play through this. We left off right around here. Jordan actually went queen g6. Okay. Queens were traded. Pieces were exchanged. This was not a very exciting game after all, right?
No, I mean, as you know, we're predicting if the queens are on that things might get exciting, but these rook end games,
No. All right, I'd like to briefly check in with Adiban versus Mamajarov, just to see if something has happened in this hedgehog structure. And this is the current position. I think you're right. You know, this one, having one piece is traded as black, makes life a little bit easier, right?
yeah.
Makes the space advantage less significant on white's part. So, still, this seems to be, you know, sort of equal, or at least not that much has happened. Only the queen on g4 is slightly strangely placed.
Definitely feels misplaced.
Yeah,
Definitely
but
feels misplaced.
This one still has to explode.
Yeah.
d5 or something has to happen before this one becomes very interesting. So, also, Adiban is down to 25 minutes, so we could see this one maybe get into some sort of a time trouble situation. Only 23 moves played.
That's the usual for hedgehogs.
Yeah.
Both get into time trouble.
And
Black
then-
plays d5, and just
then-
who blunders.
Who blunders first? Exactly.
But it's a waiting game for black for sure.
Okay, let's switch back to Magnus. I don't think he has played a move yet, but let's check. Rook takes d1, still the last one on the board. And also Peter, by the way, having played only 19 moves, is down to 24 minutes. Magnus has 35, so time seems to be a factor in many of the games. With only 20 moves on the board, that means almost inevitably quick decisions are going to have to be made at some point. he does have quite a few options here. Rook to e5 or rook to g5, rook takes g2. Wasn't directly losing. So it's hard to evaluate for black. You don't like it? Or
they all look worse, and I don't think, I mean, we were liking black's position before, so maybe we just misevaluated Peter's chances.
Yeah, I just realized if you play rook to g5, I can also start with rook to f1.
Yeah.
And forcing knight d8 pretty much.
Yeah. And then knight f5 or a few different options.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Magnus, tough choice ahead. Let's check in with some of the other games. Fabiano versus Matlakov. This one seems to be heading straight for a draw. And we have just seen the players agree. Rook to d5 check, king to e6, rook to c5, king
Fabi
to d6.
won't be happy with that, but okay.
No. And Matlakov really sped up his play here. We saw him with like 23 minutes. He finished the game with 21. So clearly he took his time, but it paid off. He found the right moves and neutralized Fabiano completely. Fabi's still not a great tournament. He has yet to win his first game. And Matlakov, I believe, is on 50%. He beat Huivan.
Yes.
And lost the first game to Vichy.
Yeah.
Do we have a question for Matlakov as he is leaving the playing hall and probably going to be interviewed?
I mean, how much of this was prep for the players? Or
Yeah.
it was...
I'm also interested to hear that. So I think we will have Matlakov coming on soon, and hopefully we'll find out to what point this was preparation. Wesley has indeed got this position on the board that we expected. This is another exciting game that could go either way. The more I look at this one, the more I start to like black's chances actually. Queen to h4 looks very annoying in many of these positions.
I need to react right now. I as white, I'm playing as Wei Yi. Bishop f3, we're trying to make work. That didn't work because of rook c8. What if I just immediately go for a4?
Okay, let me
I can't
try.
give you any time for rook c8, for knight e5, just...
Queen to h4.
Okay.
Okay, you gotta go rook to f1. And if I play rook to c8 now, am I getting myself in trouble? If you take, I have knight to b4 as an idea. Oh, queen b6. Queen to b6 here.
This might be my only move, but it works.
Queen to b6 is
My
bad news.
king, yeah, my king's safe on d1.
So what is the idea of a4 if I just play b4? This one, I think I'm immediately in trouble. Bishop to a8, queen takes a6 is I'm losing all sorts of pawns. b4.
Just to play chess. It's another target. At some point, I feel like black's going to try to reinforce it with a5, and b5 is going to be weak.
Okay, rook to c8, let's say. I'm not too worried here as black. So.
That's true. You're very solid. I don't know where your knight can go though, so it's...
Yeah, no, I probably want to go queen h4 again. But I have to watch this queen b6 idea. So, again, I feel that this position is quite balanced for the moment. I want to say white is better, but I lack also white's, let's say, next move even. I don't know exactly what you want to play here.
No, that's the thing. I sort of want to pass it to you, but rook f1 or rook d1, I don't really have a clear idea.
Bishop to g7 is a funny idea in some of these positions, but knight to e7 in this case. Bishop
That's
g7.
funny. Let me show that. Bishop g7.
I'm trying to go
Queen f8.
But in this particular case, knight to e7. Did they have a chance to play it over here, maybe, for example? Bishop to g7, trying to go here. We could see some endings here. Actually, if I would want some clarity here as white, I would go for this. I'd like to change the queens and hope that my bishop pair gives me something, bit of a edge here. So bishop to g7, it's a funny move, but if, okay, knight to e7 of course was also available. But then you let go of the b4 pawn. That's why your a4 might come in handy.
Yeah.
So a4, actually a4 is on the board. And maybe this is Wei Yi's idea. a4, b4, I don't see a much better move than b4. After rook to c8, I think you're just giving up a pawn. So b4, and then we'll see if Wei Yi comes up with this one. Wesley's gonna think for a bit here. He's managed to complicate the position, which seemed to have been his idea all along, but now is white not just a little bit better? Bishop g7 once again, I like it. Queen e7 and rook to c1. Maybe only a slight advantage, but
steady.
Steady.
I mean, it's going to be weak pawns the entire game.
Yep. All right. We are going to check in briefly with Hu Yifan and Sergei Karyakin. Is that game heading to a draw as well? We saw a potential rook endgame appearing, which has not happened. Has not happened. We left off after a5, and after b5, Sergei went knight to a7. Again, looks like he is ambitious today. a4, protecting the pawn, knight to c8. This is not the nicest knight, by the way. Rook to d1, rook to g4. And now we see bishop b8, initiating a trade, and there are still some mating ideas in the position. Alright, rook takes d2 seems virtually forced, but he is thinking about adding a check in first. Let's assume that it is played. And if rook takes d2, question is what happens if I take. There is a move repetition possible here, which looks forced because the knight on c8 is trapped. So maybe this position is still somewhat balanced. All right, and we are ready to listen to Matlakov, who drew his game against Fabiano. Let's see what he has to say about today's game.
Maxim, you just drew your game against Fabiano Caruana with the black pieces. How much of this was preparation?
I thought till the end, but lines very sharp and it's very hard to remember, so why I spent so much time. But then I thought till knight b6, it's in my it's also in my notes. It should be in my notes, I guess.
Okay, so an all prep game today. After 6th round, how satisfied are you with your play overall here in Vaikensee?
Sorry?
How happy are you with your result and your play after 6 rounds?
I think it's quite good result. Especially I had 4 black pieces. But some games, no, maybe I have to play more interesting games. I mean, the games with Sergei Karyakin, Wesley, so not so much spectacular. I mean, it's a normal result, but I want to play more interesting games.
Well, one final question. One of the games that is still coming up for you is against Peter Swidler, with who you have worked for a long time. How is it here in Vaikensee? Do you still look at chess together here, or do you just do your own thing?
Peter helped me here, and in the start of the tournament, I have some like home problems, and of course it's very good that Peter. Okay, yeah, it's here. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time and best of luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Matt Lukov over there is speaking about his game and thanking Peter. Okay, we have this position on the board, and again, I'm expecting this is the game Hu Yifan against Karyakin. This looks like it's heading towards a draw still, even after this odd maneuver. This looks very forced, Eric.
Very
over
forced.
Here, there's no way out of
Right.
this.
You can't go for mate because of rook c4.
Yeah.
But otherwise.
And if I move my king rook to c4, my b pawn is too weak.
Yeah.
Or even
Sorry.
even you can even take on b5 and
yes.
go to d5. So no, there's no way out of this for white. No way out of this for black. So we're expecting to see a draw here. But Sergey's trying to see if there's a way out. And
check on the check on Kramnik.
Check on Kramnik.
Yeah. It's a queen sacrifice. You know, you don't always see those.
That's right.
Don't always see those.
We were last looking at this one after. Actually, here he played bishop to d4, a4, as we thought, b5.
Yeah, b5.
You know, that pawn
just use
needs
that
to be
pass
pushed.
pawn.
And rook to b8, rook c1, playing for the fact that after takes, knight to d6 looks crushing.
Yeah, winning
Winning
that rook no matter
material.
what.
And we currently have on the board rook
H.
c1, h5. Wow, that's a
Well,
killer one.
okay. Oh, sorry. b6 is always tempting.
b6 is very tempting here.
You know, there's this funny move b3, and what I want to do is after a takes b3, knight a5, just to
Recapture the pawn.
recapture and control everything. But I just don't know where this queen is going actually.
Oh, you have knight c6.
Right. That's
not
yeah.
recapturing.
And then so let's say here, knight c6, queen takes.
And you will win that b pawn.
I will win that b pawn. There'll be two
So
rooks.
this looks like a lost position to me almost.
Hi,
Jeroen,
Hi.
good to see you. For those who don't know, Jeroen is the main organizer of the TATA Steel Chess event for how many years is it now, Jeroen?
This is my 19th year as a director, but it's already my 35th year as being part of the total organization. I started, people know it probably as a board boy once, when we still had not this fantastic technique. So also for me it's a small jubilee year.
Wow, 35th. We've been talking a few times about some of the players that spend lots of time of their career here. Vichy's one of them. Of course, Luke, who is not here this year, but also played many times. But 35, that means that you probably spent well over a year of your life in Wijk aan Zee. Is that correct?
Well, actually, I talked with Vichy about it because I think it's his 18th tournament. I'm not so sure, but so he calculated that it was more or less 1 year of sleep here. So then the calculation is actually very easy. For me, it means double,
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. Wow. This year we have a very nice field.
Yeah.
I am very excited in particular that you were able to convince Vladimir Kramnik to come back to Wijk aan Zee. I'm sure you must be very proud of the field that you managed to compose this year.
Yes, I also said this at the opening ceremony when I had the same question. I'm very proud, especially because of the name that you mentioned yourself, so Vladimir, but also Vishwanathan Anand. He was not here for a couple of years. And at the same time also Hao Yifan and Magnus Carlsen. So
the list goes
four,
on and
four
on.
world champions. Yeah, but they are 4 world champions, and I think especially having the world champion and former world champions in the 80th edition makes me not only happy but also proud. Yes, that's true.
Great. Today we have a few very exciting games. Noteworthy are especially Vladimir Kramnik. He did a queen sacrifice today, which is nice. But we also had a very short draw by our friend Anish, our countryman, and I was quite critical of that.
Yes.
As an organizer, how do you look at those quick draws? Is that something that when you see you're checking the game and you're going to a player saying, "Hey, you have to try harder"? How do you look at that?
It's a very good question, also kind of tricky question, because I know that Silvio Danilov once invented the Sofia rules, so you cannot make a draw before move 30. We do it differently. We have in our tournament you can make a draw in 10 or 20 moves, but it's clearly written in the contract that we are not so happy with that. And we also don't like short draws in time, let's say in hours of playing. And well, the game Anand Giri, I think, was kind of game that we are not so happy with. In case such a thing happened, I don't know. I didn't talk with none of the players. I don't know whether you talked with Anish. I saw him walking through the village, but I was in the car. It can also be something that something is wrong or not. Somebody's not feeling well. Our tournament is quite tough, but I'm not the kind of director that I'm immediately warning or saying blah blah blah. I also always like to talk. But in this situation, I think for the spectators it's unpleasant. You know, many people probably took they took train or bus or whatever to come to Wijk aan Zee and see this game, and at least you hope that you have some kind of a fight. And, well, I had many obligations today because we have also a meeting with sponsors in Hotel Hoge Duin, where we also have now commentary by Robert Rist in Dutch for the live audience.
Yeah, there's another commentary.
And I saw an interesting start of the game. He showed some lines. Okay, but actually I have no idea myself what happened. Maybe you know. But
things just really petered out quickly, and they actually agreed to a draw, and Anish was still up a pawn. But it seems like Vichy just played the right way against his preparation, and they just decided that there wasn't much play left in the position.
Okay, this I didn't see, but okay, especially for the spectators, for the fans, it's of course a bit disappointing. That's clear.
I had my own personal solution, being of course a close friend of Anish. I was thinking that as a tournament director, you might have a little bit of leverage on him to install another way of disciplining the players, which is a mandatory run on the beach if you make a draw in less than an hour, and that preferably against the wind.
Well, then they should have done it yesterday.
Yeah, for those who don't know, of course here we're right at the sea, and of course it's not a very pleasant experience. I experienced it a few days by accident, running against the wind, and I'm hoping to see other people experience a similar fate, because it's quite a tough one to run through. While you're here, Jeroen, why don't we have a quick look at some of the games?
Yes, you can tell me what's happening, because I didn't see so much. You said Kramnik was interesting?
Yeah, let's have a quick look. What happened in Kramnik's game is that quite early on he got an advantage, and over here Gawain was threatening the move bishop to d3. Eric and I thought he's going to stop it by playing rook to d1, with still a nice position. And it looks like in the meantime we have another result. Just on the camera here we can see that Hou Yifan seems to have indeed drawn her game. This was a pretty normal draw. The players tried to make something out of a position with not too much life in it, but it seems that the move repetition that we talked about right before you came on, Jeroen, has indeed happened. This one seems fairly inevitable, so no surprise here. And we have the tournament doctor over there, and also a great arbiter wrapping up the game. Let me briefly show you what happened here. So bishop to d3 was a threat, and we thought he has to stop it. Instead, he ignored it and just played bishop to e3. And this was actually a very pretty queen sacrifice where after the following sequence of moves, this pawn is going to be lost. Black still struggles with this bad bishop on g7, not fully developed. And Gawain tried to activate his pieces the following way, but we still think that Kramnik is really posed for a win here. Especially this pawn on b6 is very strong. Pawn on a4 a little weak. So this could be a real beauty if he converts this.
Yeah, these are also the days that some people, let's say, who already came, well, maybe you were also witness that we had this special public prize, you know? Sometimes players ask me for it, I don't have it anymore.
I actually won it once when I played in the C group. I think it must have been 2010 or something like that. I did enjoy that one. Okay. Maybe I need to bring it back, but the players are not playing less interesting games because it's not there anymore.
No, this I know. That's actually also your previous question that I'm, you know, I don't like the system that you have 3 points for a win in a tournament, 1 for a draw, and 0 for a loss.
The football system.
Yes,
sort of.
I understand why sponsors do it. I think they tried it in Spain. But you know, you also have a couple of days ago, Peter Sweetley had the game against Vailly. You probably remember. It was, what was it, 9 hours or what was it? 9 hours, more than 100 moves.
Yeah, it was so long.
Very interesting. It was a draw.
It was so long that we
opponents with 1 point in, and otherwise.
Yeah, I completely see right. It was so long that we actually decided to stop the commentary at some point. But the players fought extremely hard, and exactly.
That's
do you
the
really
reason I
reward
don't like
them
this.
for
Yeah, that's so.
True.
I don't,
True.
But okay, this discussion will probably be everlasting on a game like this. But sorry, you continue with the position.
No, I was gonna say after b6, Kramnik is still looking. Like it's a very nice position for him. Maybe Gawain needs to think about ways to give back the material here. So, for example, queen goes and try to take. But again, I think it's a very nice positional queen sacrifice.
But he also has a rook and what is it? Bishop against the queen. He already has 8 points.
Yeah, a rook, a bishop, and a pawn. Yeah, so he's in terms of, in that sense, it's already fine. Magnus is playing a very exciting game today. His king was forced to f8 early on in the game, where he allowed this knight d6 check, and this has now turned into something very sharp, where Peter Svidler sacrificed a exchange and a pawn, and this is the current. Sorry, this is what we just had on the board. This is the current position, even more crazy than what we had. Wow.
And what did you probably you guys checked it out? What is the score between Magnus and Peter?
It's a good question. I actually don't know. I believe Peter has a decent score.
Yes, that's also
overall.
in my mind. I remember London. He won, I think.
He beat him in London. That was in the candidates, right? It's very big. We're gonna look it up for you.
Yeah.
So what is happening here? We either have to take on g7 as black, or move the king out to g8. So for example, rook takes, knight takes. More is happening because this one is also hanging with a check. Pieces are all over. But imagine we don't, then white's gonna follow up with another check on here. Who knows, Jeroen?
Yeah.
For example, if you go here, I'll check you, king f8. You think you're out of it, but no, queen takes c5 check suddenly on the other side of the board, and you lose your bishop. So Magnus is under heavy pressure. This is going to be exciting not only because of this position, but if you look at the time on the clocks, 11 minutes versus 25, only 23 moves played. This is going to be one for the fans, I think.
And Mamedyarov? What's
Mamedyarov played a hedgehog today, and Eric and I were talking about this one. So black is just standing, and normally what happens when stronger players try to play for a win here, and I'm assuming Mamedyarov is that at some point, especially when your opponent is low on time, you're going to play d5 here, and then the position is going to explode. So the question is, when is Mamedyarov deciding what the right time is? But this is one with a lot of potential, where the players are sort of slowly but surely heading towards probably a very sharp game.
Yeah, he's, well, I won't say overconfident at the moment, Jacques, but he is in, well, you can see it that something changed.
When you invited Shak, I think you obviously were inviting a very strong player, and it was a logical pick.
Yeah,
but how
before,
happy? How happy are you having him now
Sometimes
after this phenomenal year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems that he's not ready yet. I mean, he was already number 3 of the world when we started, but now he's already number 2.
Oh, he's heading straight for Magnus. It looks like.
Yes,
yeah.
he's. But I like his style normally. He always has been a very interesting player.
Yeah.
But sometimes, to me, he looks very confident this tournament.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you say. Probably that he chooses a line like this to try with black.
Exactly. And of course, Vaikanze is also important for him, but for a few other players because they have the candidates coming up, which I think is really nice to see that the players are going full force here, and then only 1 month left before the candidates.
Yeah.
Which must have been a consideration for some. I think it's great that they all came. You could look at it in 2 ways. It's either warming up and preparing, trying to play your best here, or some of them might say we're too busy preparing, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, I think with the top players of today, when I have, let's say, a contract with them, and suddenly they probably knew about the candidates tournament already, because this year I think the dates were not changed. It happened in the past, but this year not. I think for them, of course, they will not show everything. They will not show, of course, all the preparation, but these guys are so professional, so experienced, so I don't think they are not afraid to play each other.
Yeah, makes sense. We have a interview coming up soon with Sergei Karyakin, who again, he drew his game with Hu Yifan.
Okay.
She's still waiting for that first win.
But I think Sergei also, or not?
Sergei drew all of his games, but obviously Hu Yifan has lost a few. Jeroen,
okay.
I'm going to say thank you so much for coming by.
Okay.
And we'll be back soon, and then we'll have a look at Sergei's interview. Thank you, Jeroen.
I will come back later in the tournament,
all
next
right.
week. Okay, good luck.
I wasn't expecting another shift with you. What are we watching now? Sergei interview.
All right. Fiona?
Yeah, didn't expect to come back here, but glad to be joining you once again.
Yeah, no, it's good to have you. Today, have you had a chance to look at some of the games?
I saw the opening of Swidler Carlsen, and I just put on my database tab to see. Oh, and I think the interview is coming up with Sergei, so we will be hearing it from him in a second, who's drawn all his games so far, and let's go there right now.
Sergei, for us mere humans, it seemed like a mess, but the engine sorted was everything okay in your game against Ivan Hau. What did you think?
Well, actually, I think that after the opening it was completely equal position, because I think in the end game I cannot have big problems after knight e5, bishop h6, but I was just trying to find the most precise way, and I think I actually failed to find, and it was a bit tricky in the game. Maybe I should have taken on d4 with the rook, and then after knight d4, bishop f4, I should probably go back with a knight to f5, and then after she played bishop d6, b6, it was already a bit tricky, because if she managed to get g4, g5, then I'll be in trouble. Okay, maybe I have knight a5, so I'm still holding, but I didn't like my position very much. But okay, I mean it was a normal game, and the funny thing was that I played e4 c6 for the first time in my life, so it's nice.
Okay, and then the tournament, 3 out of 6, not a bad score, but as far as I know, your ambitions are probably better than 3 out of 6.
Yeah, well, of course you want to win as many games as you can, but your opponents also have their own opinion about it. So that's why
I'm still 3 out of 6, but
Well, everything is possible, yeah?
yeah, but we'll see what will happen. Right now I'm not very satisfied, but I have no ideas what will be later on.
Okay. Is there any of your competitors who has made a big impression on you so far in the tournament?
I think Anish Giri impressed me very much.
In what way?
He's so solid, and I think that
he was always solid.
Yeah, he was, but now he's king of solid chess.
Okay, so that's good news for the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Okay, Sergey, thank you very much, and good luck in the tournament.
Thank you.
All right, Sergey there talking about today's game. He's still looking to make that first point happen, but he's patient, so I'm pretty sure he'll get there. He's the type of player to just draw a lot of games, but then slowly
take his
start.
chances when they come. Let's go straight back to world champion Magnus Carlsen.
Yes, I was saying this is one for the fans, but so much has happened in this game. It seems like the players were way ahead of me in calculation, as usual.
And we missed it already. The kings are on the middle of the board. I think we just missed the handshake there by a second. Because
players are now signing the score sheet already. Let me quickly talk you through what happened over here.
Yeah,
the game has finished in a draw. This is where we left. Knight takes g7, queen takes d2, and what I missed here is bishop to c3, just threatening a checkmate. Super concrete, obviously. Either white has a mate now, or he's gonna get mated, and it turns out that he's close, but black has enough squares for his king over here.